Elon Musk just made it official. He's leaving DOGE, the Department of Government Efficiency. And the craziest part? He's warned us about this on Joe Rogan's podcast, episode number 2281. In that episode, Elon didn't just talk tech or Twitter. He dropped bombshells about Social Security, government corruption, and why he genuinely fears for his life. Could this be the real reason he's stepping away? Let's break down exactly what he said and what it means for the future.
I mean, this is really going to get me assassinated. It's like I'm not lengthening my lifespan by explaining this stuff.
First off, we have Elon's idea of what Social Security is really like.
The government's one big pyramid scheme, if you ask me.
Yeah, well, you can tell me better than anybody.
Social Security is the biggest Ponzi scheme of all time.
Right, explain that.
Oh, so well, people pay into Social Security, and the money goes out of Social Security immediately. But the obligation for Social Security is your entire retirement career. So you're paying with you're paying like if you look at the future obligations of Social Security, it far exceeds the tax revenue. Far. Have you ever looked at the debt clock?
Yes.
Okay. There's our present day debt, but then there's our future obligations. So when you look at the future obligations of Social Security, the actual national debt is like double what people think it is because of the future obligations. Basically, people are living way longer than expected, and there are fewer babies being born. So you have more people who are retired and that live for a long time and get retirement payments.
What Elon's pointing out is this: Social Security is running on a model that's starting to break down. It depends on new workers paying into the system to fund benefits for current retirees, which, if you think about it, sounds like a lot like a Ponzi scheme. Now, a Ponzi scheme works by using money from new investors to pay old ones, but eventually it collapses because you can't recruit forever. The pool of money dries up. Back in 1935, when it started, the average life expectancy in the US was 61.7 years. Fast forward to 2025, it's projected to be 79.4 years. People are living longer, which means they are collecting benefits for more years than the system was ever designed for. And while people are living longer, birth rates have been dropping steadily since 1950s. That means fewer younger workers entering the system to support retirees. To put it into perspective, in 1940, there were 160 workers for every one retiree. Today, just 2.8 workers per retiree. Here's something most people don't know about Social Security. The money you pay into it, it's not guaranteed. You can start collecting benefits at age 62, though that's only partial. But if you die before claiming and you don't have a spouse or children, that money is gone. It doesn't go to your parents, your siblings, your partner, or your friends. Unlike a personal retirement account like a 401k or an IRA, Social Security doesn't let you pass those funds on. Let's break it down with a real-world example. Say you're 37 years old, unmarried, no kids. You have been working for 20 years, earning an average salary of $60,000 per year. That means you paid about $3,720 per year into Social Security, for a total of $74,400 over those 20 years. Now, imagine instead you put that same amount into a basic retirement fund with just a 5% annual return. That would grow into $123,000. But here's the kicker. If you die suddenly, all of your Social Security contributions, they stay with the government. Meanwhile, your retirement account would go straight to your chosen beneficiary. Social Security was created back in 1935 during the Great Depression to help elderly Americans avoid poverty, and at the time, it made sense. But it was designed in a completely different world, a world where one job could buy a house, raise a family, and retire with dignity. Today's young workers aren't getting the same deal. Since 1940, the home price to wage ratio has increased by over 210%. That means housing has been nearly 3 times less affordable than it was for previous generations. And yet, those same young workers are still paying into a system that may not be there for them when they retire. Sure, there are ways to fix Social Security like raise payroll taxes, push back the retirement age, or cut benefits. But all of those solutions come at a cost to current workers. Next, Elon talks to Joe about his time in DOGE and what he found out about government programs.
But when you guys first started investigating it, when you first get in, how much of it was shocking? Like just the size of it all.
Well, the size of it all, the small decisions result in multi-billion-dollar outcomes. So, we'd see, it was a case where we saw one person was getting $1.9 billion sent to their NGO, which basically got formed about a year ago and had no prior, no prior activity. So they just stand up an NGO. The whole NGO thing is a nightmare, and it's a misnomer, because if you have a government-funded non-governmental organization, you're simply a government-funded organization. It's an oxymoron.
Right. It's a loophole.
Yes. It basically, the government-funded NGOs are a way to do things that would be illegal if they were the government, but are somehow made legal if it's sent to a so-called nonprofit. But these nonprofits are then used to, people cash out these nonprofits. They become very wealthy through nonprofits. They pay themselves enormous sums through these nonprofits.
It's so insane that's been going on for so long.
It's a gigantic scam, like one of the biggest, maybe the biggest scam ever.
NGOs are non-governmental organizations such as St. Jude's Research Hospital, the Salvation Army, and Planned Parenthood. But here's what things get interesting. Elon Musk has pointed out that some people are setting up NGOs with just a little as $400, depending on the state. Then they start lobbying politicians to direct government funding to those organizations. And in many cases, that funding continues year after year. Now, here's the issue. According to Elon, a lot of the money doesn't go towards the NGO's actual mission. In fact, some NGOs spend only 5 to 10% of their funds on what they claim to support. The rest, it's often spent on overhead, salaries, or it just disappears. And tracking where that money goes can be incredibly difficult. Here, Joe Rogan points out that no liberal news is even talking about this fraud and waste.
No one's talking in any of these mainstream liberal talk shows. No one is talking about all this fraud and waste.
Yeah, because we're cutting off their graft machine. So that's what they're upset about. That's the real thing they're upset about.
Elon clearly knows the Democratic Party's out to get him for looking into fraud. And what he says next might put a closer perspective as to why they are so eager for him to fail.
Like, why is the Democrat propaganda machine so fired up to destroy me? That's the main reason. The main reason is that entitlements fraud, that includes like Social Security, disability, Medicaid, entitlements fraud for illegal aliens is what is serving as a gigantic magnetic force to pull people in from all around the world and keep them here. Like, basically, if you pay people at a standard of living that is above 90% of Earth, then you have a very powerful incentive for 90% of Earth to come here and to stay here. But if you end the illegal alien fraud, then you turn off that magnet, and they leave, and they stop coming, and the ones that are here, many of them will simply leave. And if that happens, they will lose a massive number of Democratic voters.
And if it didn't happen, they would turn those people into voters.
Correct.
Which they were trying to do.
What Elon is suggesting is that there are illegal aliens coming into America because they are benefiting from fraudulent programs. According to FAIR, the Federation for American Immigrant Reform put the number of illegal immigrants at 18.6 million as of 2025. A majority of these immigrants are in states where they abuse taxpayer money, such as states like New York, where Elon claims FEMA pays for luxury hotels and averages about 59 million per week for illegal migrants. FEMA, an organization to help Americans and non-citizen nationals in an emergency, would later halt those payments after this podcast. Then you have California, which has programs where migrants are getting free health insurance at taxpayers' expense. Now, months after this podcast, California is reconsidering that decision. Elon further states that these programs drive illegals to these states to essentially turn them into voters.
What's actually happening is they're buying voters. That's really what's happening. It's like a giant voter fraud scam. They're importing voters. and it's really just a matter of time. So, like, if a lot of people have trouble believing this, but the more you look at it, the more you will realize just how much of a problem this is, and how it's not just real. It is an attempt to destroy democracy in America. That's what, in my view, it is what it really is. Like, if you take the sort of 7 swing states, like, often the margin of victory there is like maybe 20,000 votes. If you put 200,000 illegals in there, and they have like a 80% likelihood of voting Dem, and it's only a matter of time before they become citizens, then those swing states will not be swing states in the future. And if they are not swing states, we'll be a permanent one-party state country. Permanent, deep blue socialist state. That's what America will become.
And that was the game plan.
That was the game plan. That is still the game plan. If they had another 4 years, they would legalize enough illegals in the swing states to make the swing states not swing states. They would be blue states. Then they would win the presidential. They'd win the House, the Senate, and the presidency.
Elon states that the Democratic Party is doing this to take control of the House, Congress, and presidential seat. Now, this might be just a conspiracy. Some Republicans, like Senator Bill Haggerty of Tennessee, argue that Democrats are benefiting politically from illegal immigration. He claims Democrats gained as many as 13 congressional seats thanks to undocumented immigrants being counted in population totals. But let's break that down. In the 2016 Supreme case, Evanwell vs. Abbott, the court ruled that the House representation can be based on total population, not just eligible voters. That means everyone living in the state, citizen or not, count towards how many seats a state gets in Congress. Now, according to studies by both the Center of Immigration Studies and Pew Research Center, undocumented immigrants affected congressional appointment in 6 states after the 2020 census. CIS found that Democrats have gained only 1 seat. Pew, on the other hand, found no significant impact on seat distribution. So while the idea of illegal immigrants massively shifting electoral power sounds dramatic, the actual data shows minimal to no effect, at least when it comes to congressional seats. Concluding the podcast, Elon talks to Joe about insider trading in Congress and what may even get him killed.
If you're a part of a group of people that's passing a bill, and you know this bill's going to get passed, you know the votes are there, and you know it's going to affect this industry and this particular manufacturer, and you can buy stock.
It's more than just insider trading. Like, the insider trading stuff, like the stock portfolio stuff, is quite trackable, but it's a lot more than insider trading.
The way they're acquiring wealth.
Correct.
And what other methods?
I mean, this is really going to get me assassinated. It's like I'm not lengthening my lifespan by explaining this stuff, to say the least. I mean, I was supposed to go back to DC. How am I going to survive? This fucker's going to kill me for sure. I actually have to be careful that I don't push too hard on the corruption stuff, because it's going to get me killed.